வணக்கம். मैं हैदर अली सैयद सिवम से united under Tamil.
Sir, what is this real Kailash?
See, the real Kailasha is where Shiva sat in meditation, and that is not in Himalayas. It is basically at Triconamalai.
Okay.
And so this is where he got all the guidance.
Okay. But actually, the truth is, see, in my understanding, in the submerged land, no one knows whether there was tall mountains or not. But there are people who say that there are mountains in the place in Indian Ocean. So where they were there, like it's obscure. But it is Sri Lankans who wants to point out that place. They actually want trying to say that the Kumari Kandam is Sri Lanka only. That is also there are whenever there is one opinion, like people like to say it in a different way. But this is this can be discussed on this basis when people can understand how the landscape was and what kind of tribes they were there 2,500 years ago. Because 2,500 years ago, outsiders started coming in. Actually, that also it is not a fact, because that story was written in 12th century. No one really know. But the references, the Tamil references which says is that that place was not populated, number one. And number two, Sri Lanka was primarily as a connecting ports. And besides only the coastal side, and within the land, it was always maintained as population free. Small sects were there. And the place, according to some references, the place was meant for people who were in higher level of meditation. Higher level of siddha's highest level is there. One of the siddhas, the higher level of siddhas is one specific status. Even that also they found a different meaning, so they altered that also. For my understanding, there is one specific higher level is there. Only those people were there. And the kingdom, female kingdom was there, like Amazon. That female kingdom was Pandyan princess who were like, didn't want to marry anybody, and mostly warriors, not mostly all warriors. They go to that kingdom, whoever didn't want to marry. Ali Rajyam, it's called. The references for Ali Rajyam, references for that higher level siddhas, then some tribe people to help out who are protecting the forest and helping out these people. Then other than that, only the coastal area where there was ports. So when you consider that Siddha's higher level people were there, then you can say that that could be the place of where Sivan meditated. Because actually, the meditation, if you're speaking of meditation, meditation is not something that you go and sit and the way that North Indians mentioned Shiva and meditate. That is the entry level meditation. Then once you cross that level, it doesn't matter that whether you are standing or walking or anything, you actually can meditate. Then the next level is you don't have to find a different position or different time to be alone. You can be in that meditative state, and you can always do a lot of things that you'll be doing your work. You will go to tea shop, you will talk to people. Everything will happen within meditation. Then the next level is whatever you do itself meditation. Then goes other level. Then like the level of this is all consistent like one stage. When the awakening will take you to the different level and different understanding, you may do a lot of things. You may speak to other people about what you know. You may write to other people. You may go and do some work, something like which helps the people around you. That is how that they were doing, or whether it is martial arts, innovative actually, innovative. You will be like very innovative and finding things, and physical access to have the physical well-being. You will start teaching other people on other things. Then while you're doing itself, like you will be meditating. Your life is the path is that. Then you go to that different level. Whereas all these people, only the leader categories, people who guide others, like they come to you to understand, like something beyond their reach and their future path. Then when by the time that all this thing changes, your physical being will start changing. God only knows because how things can happen. The vision, the things what you see will be like in a different dimension actually. Then the physical thing attribute changes. The normal physical function is that you gain energy from the food habits you take. That is, in order to have the strength, you have this specific food. You get protein from this and the oxygen from this from this, that from this. Like you have defined in a cultural society. That's what people do in everyday's life. Some say that like you eat oats to gain certain thing. But when you go to the very entirely a very different level of being, you there is a there are things. I mean, according to my beliefs, so according to my understanding, actually, it's not a belief system. So that you will gain everything that from the air itself. You take it from the air what is necessary. If you're hungry, in a higher level of meditation, you actually can live with the breath from the air that like you absorb the energy. That's why uh, 40 days or continuous meditation, that then people reach the samadhi level. But the samadhi is a different one, what people understand. So in order for your body to survive, that you require that energy. The energy generally being consumed from the plants and animals, whichever it is, the kind of food habits. And but in this level of siddha level of meditation, when you cross the level, and you consume that from the air, and it is not actually only air. You might have read in Puranas and all, like few information will be there. They take one seed and like that will give them energy. One seed of anything. Actually, for a normal human being, you need to make a huge gravy of like with the same like that, some sort of a nut. Let's say anything, peanuts or something that like you need 100 like for that within one like they'll have it. They'll consume it for the quest of hunger, quest of everything. They can have one drop of water to satisfy the quest of thirst. That is a very different level of meditation. I don't know who is here. And there goes that another level, that the so many, the physical attribute changes. When physical attribute changes, that you will be able to move your body from one place to another as the same physique. There goes another different session, whereas that you can change your physical attribute into a different being, like peacock. If you change the physical attributes, then if you change it to peacock, then you will be able to fly. If you change your attribute to a lion, that you will be a cheetah or something, then you will be at that as a deer, as a fly. Then back and forth. Another one which they primarily talk is that when they find a freshly dead animals, human or anything that then they enter an exit. When they enter, that physical body will work. Kudu vittu kudu payu vittai, it is called. That means what we have, the body is a shell. So from this shell to another shell, you moving all that. It is God only knows whether somebody really doing it now. Then once that is also that it is not an, but all these books talks about these all type of achievements. The truth is, these are, in my understanding, nothing is an achievement. None of this is an achievement. It is one is a practice to achieve, to attain the next, and the next is a practice to attain the next. When they do this body to body transfer, that is itself a practice. Then once they in the one lifetime, all these things supposed to happen within one lifetime. Because the moment people move on to the next lifetime, that then we don't know that from which stage that the same person would start. In order to reach the since birth, in order to reach that previous siddha's level itself, I don't know what kind of sufferings they'll do. They'll have to pass through. I'll give you an example. Let's say that in a previous life, Raghu was a siddha who was in body to body transfer level. Let's just say, I'm just saying. Then somewhere something happens. Then he goes on to the rebirth. Then as a child, straight away that he can't go body to body. The previous life, you need to search for the previous life secrets, previous life memories, for that in a specific discipline, he has to live. So the birth has to happen in actually in the same path. If he was born in a different path and first he has to find the path, then he has to understand the path. By the time he find the path, somebody would have taught something. That is why that the world is talking about something as an evil that will play part. That is whether in India you speak about the Varna system and trying to make believe that people are belong here, belong that as an ethnic. So all that the person would be experiencing since birth. So finding a path will be difficult. Let's say that the next birth he was happened to be born in a sect, whereas that the specific ethnic is not allowed to read, write or anything, that how will he find the path? Because read, write is basically basic requirements to think, and vice versa. If you do not have the confidence to read and write, then you will stop your ability of thinking. That is called expression. Whatever people think, they need to express. Express does not mean talking to another. And people think they need to write, and they are not allowed to write. Read and write comes together, right? Then expression is stopped. If he is sharing that to another person verbally, and that is also blocked, how dare from this segment you are talking about holy things, then expression is stopped. After a period of time, that person would think, what is the point in thinking that when you cannot express? So the freedom is required. Person have to have a freedom in expression, no matter what you are thinking. So when it is a birthright for every single human being on earth when they are born, because that is the beginning of everything. The moment somebody cut down somebody's freedom, that's it. Their inner self cannot evolve. This is why freedom were cut to the people. This is why I say that, like in older civilization, the freedom was given to people. Free will. This is why that in this room, when the club was started, I said, no one should be blocked to express their views. It no matter what. It has to be discussed. It is not necessary. We have to accept their views or even understand their views. But people have to express, because that is the right we were born. So in the next life, that when he was not allowed to be right, obviously that he is not allowed to think how is he going to find the path. So he has to be in the loop for another next life. So next life, the goal would be not to get back to that body to body. The goal is based on the previous life, whereas the freedom to speak. So it might, even in the life, he might become a revolutionary. She would be fighting for people. The goal changed. Instead of searching for body to body, he will be a revolutionary to speak for people for the freedom. Because they know that the person knows, the inner self know that his job is to get back to that previous, that is body to body, siddha level. So in order to that, he's stuck in this prisoner level. So he need to break free first. So when he does that, he need to break free for everybody, because the previous knowledge helped him to understand the importance of freedom. So what is that? By the time his life is over, he will be labeled as a revolutionary. That is one of the reason. You all know that I will never take any labels, no matter what opinion I say. You all know that I speak in a term of nobody. I will never take, because the day I take the label, that I'm stuck. Then obviously he need to move on to the next. You'll never know what happens in that revolutionary world. His mind, his inner self may be programmed to be something else. The path might change. How, when we grow up in one lifetime, because of certain exposure, our path changes. The same way, in different lifetime, because of the previous life, the future life might change. So that's one of the reason I suggest generally you that we have to be so careful of what we are programming ourselves. The program based on the topics intensely, like we speak repeatedly. Speaking one, mentioning, it's all different. That repeatedly, one thing you speak, it is not that you are telling other people, you are self-programming something. So if you choose to self-program something, then so be it. I just make people aware that what are they programming themselves. That's what I do. Because in my life, there is no do's and don'ts. So I can't tell people don't. So if you do, what happens? I make people aware of it to my knowledge. So if the path is not changed for the revolutionary, And there it goes. You might have come across in history that there are some people revolutionary life they would have lived, then they will go on on siddha life. You might have read about Tamil Pandya kings that after being king, after they have done their duty to the society, they will go a siddha at different point of time. They can go to that level as nobody only when they have not taken up the glory while they are whatever they are. People cannot be a prisoner of such victories and glories. Then they are stuck. That is why in there are historians, there are even common people, they raise questions about Pandyas. Why is it there are no evidence about Pandyas? About Cholas, this is mentioned, that is mentioned, all that they say. But about Pandyas, why there is no? More than 5,000 years, like generally from Sangha literature, they are talking about Pandyas. But why there is no evidences? Because they don't self-glorify themselves. But in order to point out how they respected as a king, their name is the one, nothing is the original name. Whatever the Pandya's name, king's name list is there, none of the name is their original name. Every name is the title name for what they have done to become before they became a king, or immediately after they became a king. They are called by that because how he was born, what he was as whatever he is as a person, it did not matter. What matters was what he has done for the society. What was he as an inner person was the important thing for Pandya king. And whatever the thing they did during their administration, he wasn't glorified or he was appreciated, but the glorification was not taken because then after that it would have gone. Whether he would have become a siddha within the when the administration responsibility goes to another person, he live a different life, waiting for preparing himself to live the next life how it has to be. So from a revolutionary that the person goes to that level, exclude himself from the society, then then he prepare himself to continue his journey. Then next he would be born in a way if he is based on varieties of things. So if he was able to be in the next life, also the person have to struggle to reach his old path. Once they get to the path, everything happens in 1 second. Awakening does not happen in a long years. Awakening happens in less than a fraction of seconds. Prior to that, whatever the person does is preparing his mind, body, and soul. If everything comes in one perfect combination, which is based on the sequence of events happens around him, and tuck one shot, everything. Eyes will be open. He will simply see actually the same thing. He does not see different things, but same things in a different dimension. Meaning of everything. That is not actually meaning of everything in my view. It is just a different angle with a different meaning in a different dimension. Then the path, whichever he is supposed to be, which he can't even be sure, you just have to pass. For everything, it is the faith. So probably they will understand it that only they cross it. Nobody will understand their path when they reach it. Because exactly the same thing I mentioned to King Raji. He is on a path. He quit Clubhouse. So he's on a path, just like that. Just move on. Then the once a path, then again, see what kind of a struggle that Siddha would have had. So the most important thing is how we can accomplish, or like in I don't know, even though all these words, English words, are not being suitable accomplishment, because nothing is an accomplishment. Living a life of multiple transformation, like in one lifetime, is so difficult. So we have we have to make sure that never get into any of this. To walk on a path, you should uh, never get into this loop. The moment you get into the loop, like you live circle and circle and circle, thinking that that's the path, but actually it will be like you'll be revolving around something inside. So the path is like very long and winding. Varieties of experiences is waiting. Varieties of understanding is yet to be understood. So from there, that they have to move on. Then that next one is from after the body to body. There goes that is called arubam. Actually, yeah, it's rubam and arubam. That is what my name means. Illuminating, where that the person might look brighter. I mean, self glowing. That's the meaning of illuminating. Is the meaning of rubam. Tamil word actually. Rubam, arubam, viswarubam. Actually, arubam is supposed to be dark, I think. Rubam is the illuminating. Then, which is the English term called that shapeshifters, it became body, like it lost, by the time it would have lost that physical attributes, absolutely. That is how that Murugan's disciple Bogar happened to travel like different countries. That is the belief. In different period of time, not only one period of time. Everything inclusive, time travel, physical, body travel, so many things, portals. In portals, you actually see the original portal thing. The old portal things, how it was, that it is your physical body. So once you stand into the one side of the portal, like when you start passing through, the same body without any changes, just move on. In modern ones, if you see that as the body it cannot travel, so what happens is it dissolves into molecules, and the molecules travel and reassemble as the same. Something is not happening, then they are dead. So they go different. Then what happens? Life cycle's over, and they will be born again. It's entirely a different thing without any of it. That is why reaching the Sivam is the goal of plenty of people. So then it happens either like you may be reborn, or like as a whatever, can be an avatar, can be anybody, can be start once more, like one more round in a different path. You may even born and like become a tyrant. You may even become anybody when the new life cycle is starting, or you may never be born. One may never be born. I should not say you or he. There it goes that like that is part of the omnipotent, as absolute nobody, zero. There is no identification, nothing. This is what like almost 2 years ago I wanted to talk. and in a short description, I spoke to Kulandai. But with you, I didn't do. Because of your real Kailash, I was triggered. There are many times you asked me that, like I said, no, no, and, not in the mood kind of thing. And it happened. So everything, so my belief stays strong. For everything, there is always a moment. Everything has to synchronize. The trigger and the moment and the mindset. There are varieties of things, right? Nothing ever happens just because someone wants. I could have sort of told you whenever you asked. It didn't happen. I needed to be triggered, like next time whenever you asked. Today I was like, this real kind of topic that I'm not really discussing about them. So, because what they are trying to say is they want to destroy that information and they want to bring it as this is where the Kumarikan, this is because that's the most vital information. So I ask question to people, why when Pandyas were traveling all over the world, why is that they never populated this small island which is next to them? They kept it for a specific reason. This understanding people could not have. People could not have this understanding. They wanted to argue. The land was kept population free for a certain specific reason. They changed the demography, the idea of that specific island, and they changed the meaning of all those people that, like, who were there.
Thank you.